All right, so shortly I will ask for requests on any questions that you still have on either study guide in a little bit. I'm putting whatever score you got from your binder check and or your practice test, whatever it is, when I checked it. If you can resubmit it, you could. You could decide, hey, I found some more note sheets, I'll show you them tomorrow, but you'll have to show me like your entire binder again, because I don't keep track of like, oh, Faith was missing lesson 9 or whatever. Like, I don't keep track of that. I need to see all 12 pages again, in order for it to count if you're resubmitting it. I do not ask, like, I do not make announcements like, hey, do you have your stuff now? I just put it on you. Literally, like, our project / collaborative assignment category is just going to be your binder test. So not having like notes, not keeping them, refusing to take them. I feel like everyone would take notes when we would do notes, but you know, not keeping them for the binder check or turning it in will drop your grade quite a bit. So like a 0 in the 20% category, like highest grade you could get in the class would be a C, and that would be you getting like really good grades on everything else. So keep that in mind. Make that really important. I do put a note in Schoology for how long you have to show me it, but like I don't remind you lately. Like that's your responsibility. You knew when binder check day was, so like the fact that you don't have it, like you need to now remember to return it in. All right. Same with the practice test. I know I gave that to you yesterday, the packet. If you don't have the packet, either help yourself, it's in the blue bin, or go on Schoology, do it on your own paper and submit to the link that's in Schoology. So questions on that? Okay, so then at this time, I'll take requests for whatever question you want to see, whether it's on the puzzle piece study guide or on the paper study guide. What are we still confused about? So if you're confused about it now, you'll be confused about it tomorrow. Yeah. Over the Sarah and okay, I don't think it's shuffled. Can you tell me what number it is? Okay. Okay, sorry, it's number 7. Okay, so the dot plots show the number of hours of video games played in a day by 2 students, Jerome and Sarah. Select all statements that must be true. So select all means what on a test? That there could be more than one right answer. Sometimes there is just one right answer, but you have to check every single one in order to be sure. So in that case, first one says that the mean and median values for Jerome's data are about the same. So just looking at Jerome's dot plot, do you think his mean and median are about the same? How do you know? Like, how can I know if it's about the same? There's like probably 2 ways. One is way time consuming and the other is by looking at it. Right, Nolan? All right, headphones out, guys. I know you guys were doing independent time earlier, which is whatever, but like now I'm talking to you and teaching you stuff. So no one knows how to tell if the mean and median are about the same. You could use Desmos, albeit that's a bit more time consuming. And then what did you say, Parker? If they are symmetric. If they are symmetric, then we can expect the mean and median to be about the same. Is Jerome symmetric? So then you do not want to pick this answer option because they are not about the same. All right. So first one's wrong. Second one, the mean and median values for Sarah's data are about the same. Would you say that hers is symmetric for the most part? Okay, it's roughly symmetric. The only thing that makes it not really symmetric is like maybe 1 or 2 dots like here and there, but it's roughly symmetric. So we're going to say that the mean and median values are about the same. Okay, roughly symmetric still counts. So next one, Sarah's standard deviation is higher than Jerome's. Again, you could use Desmos. A bit time consuming, but you could to know for sure. How can I tell just by looking at it who has a higher standard deviation? Josiah? How spread out it is. So look at Jerome, look at Sarah's. Which one do you think is more spread out? You think Sarah's is more spread out? That one I don't know for sure. This one I might have to put into Desmos. Yeah. So we're saying that hers is higher than Jerome's? Okay, we can fact check here with Desmos, but we'll go with that. Sarah's standard deviation is lower than Jerome's. If we picked higher, then it can't be lower at the same time, so definitely don't pick both. Pick one. The median values for both students is about the same, true or false? False. Their number lines start and end at the same spot. And they clearly do not have like the same middle. Like Jerome's would probably be around here. Sorry, I can't see my pen, so it makes it harder. And Sarah's would be about here. So probably not the same. So we're not going to go with that one. Would you say that the mean values for both students is about the same? All right, mean is like our average, our typical values. So no, I wouldn't say that they're about the same. They look quite different, so I wouldn't pick that one either. Sorry, I just can't see my pen, and the only way to make it see is that way. Okay, so far not picking either of these. If Jerome stayed home sick from school on Tuesday and played 10 hours, this would affect the mean value for him more than the median value. So 10, if you can't see from the screen, it ends at 8. 10 would be like way over here for Jerome's data. Would that affect his mean value more or his median value more? Good. Potential outliers pull the mean in that direction. The median might not even change. It could change, but it might not even change. The mean will for sure change. Now for Sarah, if she stayed home sick from school on Tuesday and played 10 hours, so for hers, if it was at 8, it would be like over here. This would affect the median value for her. Now, I personally would not guess. I would actually have to see. So it looks like we have 19. So in the middle of 19 is 9, so that would be my middle value, right? So let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So her median before adding that outlier is 3. All right, that one's her median. But then adding that 10, does it change her median at all? It doesn't. It would bump it either this way or that way, it's still on the 3. So in that case, we would not pick that one. The standard deviation, I do just have to check just because I can't really tell. You did check it? Jerome's is lower. Okay. So then let me look at the key just to be sure. Sarah's is lower. That's what I thought from looking at the key. But so we can't pick both. And let me just show you again how to check that, because that one I would check just because they are so similar. I would put it in Desmos. So I can't help you with Desmos on the test. If you have questions about it, you can ask me before or after the test. Standard deviation is one of those things we did not teach you to calculate by hand just because it takes way too long. Okay, but if you were using Desmos to confirm, I would put like a letter equals bracket and then whatever the data is. So there's 5 zeros, 4 ones, 3 twos, 1 3, 1 4, 5, and 6. And then you could use this menu because I know the letters aren't as easy to memorize for standard deviation. I would use this one. Oops, in a different cell, sorry. All right, and then here's my standard deviation for Jerome's. If I do Sarah's, hers was 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 5 3s, 4 4s. And then her standard deviation is a little bit lower. So they were close to each other. That's why I would have to actually compare, not just guess visually. That confirms to me that Sarah's standard deviation is lower. So that's the process you follow. Any questions on that? Okay, I'm very confident it's right, but I could just check to be sure. Occasionally there's mistakes, but okay, yeah. So it's mixed up, it's shuffled, but it is the same, or it's not shuffled actually. So it's the same thing that we said. Questions on that? Okay, any other questions from either study guide? Page? On the puzzle piece one? Okay. So this one, we have 2 box plots summarize the number of miles driven in 2 months. Which statements must be true about the distributions? So there could be multiple that are true. Which statements? So in that case, we have the total number of miles driven in August is the same as the total number of miles driven in December. So true or false on that one? Okay, and where do you look at on the box plots to see? Okay, so I'm saying the quartile range. What else? The box itself. If it's total, I would look for like my overall range from end to end. So like about 61 minus 5 or about 61 minus 10. That's not the same. All right, so this one is not true. Don't put that one. Half of the time drivers went further than 40 miles per day. True or false? Okay, so 40 here on that one, 40 here on that one. Where does the median split your data into what percent? Well, that would be quartiles, but the median itself splits your data into 50%. Good. So yeah, yes, quartile splits your data into quarters. If it's the middle quartile, it splits it into half. Right, quarters. So then, yeah, I would agree with this one. You still have to check those because which statements. The median miles driven in August is equal to the median miles driven in December. True or false? Okay. That one then. Yes, they are the same. In December, drivers typically drove more miles per day than in August. Okay, because it's not as long range wise, and then interquartile range as well. The box is smaller. So yeah, they did not drive more miles than in August. And then the interquartile ranges for both months are equal. Yes or no? No. I can know that without even doing the math, because do these boxes even look about the same? No, so I can know that without doing the math. If you needed to do the math, like maybe they look similar, what's the formula for IQR? Q3. Okay, good. That's like the one thing Desmos won't calculate for you. It could tell you what your quartiles are, but it won't tell you what IQR is. Real quick, I don't know if you need a refresher on that, but you could, like when you type in your data, obviously you can't see it from a box plot. You would need the data. But what you could do if you have all the data is type in stats whatever you called your data, and then it pulls up this menu and tells you your quartiles. Remember, don't forget the parenthesis though. I can't tell you if you forget it. You'll just have to do it by hand. Questions on that one? Questions on others? Barnaby? All right. So 11 was the question. Hold on. Okay, so a sample of 10 boxes of raisins has these weights in grams. And which of these box plots would best represent the data? And then some other stuff that it's asking about it. Mason? Yes. All right, so if this were me, I mean, you can do it by hand, and especially if you don't know how to use your calculator, then you have to know how to do it by hand. But if it were me and I was on a timed test, I would put my data into Desmos. I don't know if it'll let you copy and paste in Elluminate, because that's where we're taking our test tomorrow in that platform. But if not, just write it on a piece of paper and then go in and type it. Use commas to separate your data. It said I had 10 boxes, so I should have 10 things on my list. And then since we're talking about box plots, I'm going to do stats, whatever I called my data, because that will give me my 5-number summary. So if you don't remember 5-number summary, that's your minimum, your maximum, and your quartiles. That's what makes up your box plot. So I need to have a box plot that starts at 25, which they all do, that ends at 38, which they all do except for B. And then I need one that has a median on 32. So there's between A and D now. And now we need to look at the quartiles. So 29 and 35 for where the box starts. So A is looking good. Let me just verify with D. All right, quartiles don't match. So everyone see that thought process behind that? I could do it by hand, but why would I when I'm taking a time test and I know how to use the calculator? All right, then the other things it asked. It said about half of the boxes sampled have weights above what weight. So now that I know which box plot it should be, I can look at it. So what part of my box plot splits it in half? The second quartile, also known as the median, so this line on the box, and it's at the 32. So that means half of them are above the 32, half of them are below the 32. Make sense? And then what percent of the boxes have a weight above 29 grams? So if I look at my right answer, 29 is here. What percent is above the 29? 75%. All right, if that's confusing for you, remember quartile, split it into quarters, pretend that's a straight line. Here's my first 25, my second 25, third and fourth. It said which are above 29 grams, which is here. So then add that up, that's 75%. Questions on that? Okay, let me make sure the key is right. So with me doing like a handful of the problems with you, there's no reason I should have missings on this study guide practice test. Other questions from either portion of the study guide? All right, going once. Going Keegan. All right. So in that case, we have the mean level vitamin C for 20 dogs was 7.6 milligrams per liter with a standard deviation of 2.1 milligrams per liter. one dog's vitamin C level was not in the normal range. It was 0.9 milligrams per liter, which is a very low level of vitamin C. If the 0.9 is eliminated from the data set, so we're taking away the small outlier, what would happen to the mean? It would increase. All right, so if you need like a visual, if my average, my mean was about 7.6, let me put like 5 in the middle. We're saying that most of my data was like maybe around here. I don't know what it actually is, but if that's my mean, most of my data is around the 7.6. But then we have a point at 0.9, so like way over here, which pulls the median lower, right? But if I remove it, if I take it away, is my mean increasing or decreasing? It would be increasing if I take away a small value. Does that make sense? If I added a small value, it would decrease, but I'm taking away the small value. All right, so the reason why is because this was an outlier. You could do the math and know for sure if it's an outlier or not. It would have to be 1.5 times the IQR away from the first quartile. But I think you can assume on that one. And I think on the test, you'll be fine with outliers. Anyway, if the value 0.9 is eliminated from the data set, what happens to the standard deviation, the spread? If I eliminate a value that was over here, am I making it more spread out or less spread out? Make it spread out. So we would expect the standard deviation to decrease because we're taking it away. Questions on that? Okay, let me make sure the answers are right. Okay, good. Any other questions from either study guide? All right, don't skip the 50-point portion, that packet tomorrow, just because you think it doesn't really matter. That alone is. So did we understand everything from the practice test? From that part of it? I will post all my recordings in Schoology if you want to see what my other classes had trouble with. I will post whatever we get done from this on Schoology as well. If you want to see that and see if your answers are right, because I haven't told you that you're right yet. Any other requests though? You shouldn't put it up yourself for a minute. I don't know that you all did the study guide and got an 80 or higher or something. All right, last call. Okay. High expectations then, if we're so ready and have no more questions.